Hello and thank you for joining me on Top of Breaks It Down. Today I was teaching emerging technologies in 11 business, and I figured out that it was actually 18 years ago that I was sitting in their class, and the new emerging technology of that time was the Apple iPhone. It came out in 2007. So 18 years later I've seen and noticed the same things that you would have all noticed in the way society has changed, but also in the ways business has changed, because it does reflect the changes in society that does business. So I found it super fascinating and interesting, and I thought I would just share my ideas on what I shared with the kids when I was going through emerging technology with them in year 11 QCAA business. So the beginnings of the digital era was 2007. I can remember all my friends who were super filthy rich. They not lined up, but there was people lining up trying to open and look at this Jesus phone. It was called the Jesus phone because it was 3 in 1. This was for the first time in history you could actually get music, the phone, and the internet all on one device. I think that was a huge improvement for all of us who had big baggy pockets and couldn't hold their wallet, phone, keys. But I think nowadays, if you just get rid of the keys, you're looking at a new phone that can pretty much have you not even need a pocket in your pants at all. So 2007 really launched a few changes. The big ones being for me a lot more indoors, a lot more people being able to not be present, literally being able to send things to people millions of miles away, and to enjoy your music on your phone was huge when you're a young kid. So 2007 brought that in. I was 16 years old. The kids I'm teaching now are 16 years old as well. So I naturally, in my head, I consider, wow, 18 years time and this new technology being Chat GPT, I'm like, wow, what could it look like in terms of 18 years down the track? For me, this is all just AI generated, so props to ChatGPT. I can see and perceive that this is true though. AI in the workplace, employment by sector, the agriculture and manufacturing societies, industries, I see them dropping in numbers because of the replacement of automation and robots. I think that AI will do really good to more harvest and plant and recreate much better than we can do, and more reliably. So I think that's a good thing, but I do see it as a bit of a loss. In another sense, the inverse, I see with the inclusion of AI, a lot of small businesses being a pop up overnight. I think people who are using AI can brand things a lot easier, can produce things and little documents, and can quicken up all these little fiddly processes that I think will probably be holding small business back. So in that sense, yeah, one guy can actually do a lot more in a small business because of AI. In terms of education, that's where I am. I can see that happening a lot. That teachers are no longer the know-it-alls. Especially in the humanities, I see the students defaulting to AI to get just simple summaries and basic knowledge of anything. And down the track, I imagine, well, 18 years later, there'll be tutors and better questioners and prompters for knowledge than any teacher, and that'll come straight from AI, straight from ChatGPT. So that's what I see the future of AI in education is. And of course, you've all heard the trend towards more presentation and communication and that sort of thing, accentuating human knowledge, and obviously the benefit that we give as humans that a chat GPT robot cannot give. AI and the balance, uh, I think you'll see that the human connection factor, which I just talked about before, is something that will be continually stressed, and it will be continually a worry too. I think that comes back to people deciding what our purpose is, and that coming from God, or whether that's coming from some other random thing. If our main purpose is to make money and live out our lives as fruitful as we can in terms of our work, absolutely AI will be your king and your bread and butter. But I think if you are to accentuate the human qualities, and I believe coming from God, being born as a child of God, that our purpose and reason is to connect and to glorify God. So I think that this balance of AI and human factor, if people can blend that really well and nicely, you can start to focus 100% or a lot more percent rather than on the day-to-day running of things, but actually the connection and the purpose and the meaning and the support in terms of developing people to honor God in a good and right way of living. You can see this little sort of dark tinted prediction of AI assisted daily life. It's pretty much just from a space movie you could see anywhere as you flicked on the myriad of streaming services that we have. But you can see a smart home is definitely going to be on the cards. Everything should be syncing and talking to each other. I imagine you can already get people turning off their fridge from the party that they're at down the street. You can already, yeah, if you got an internet connection, you can do heaps of things remote anyway. So I think this blending of the space universe and our eyes and our computers, this whole sort of the universal remote might actually be a lot more universal. I mean, I bought one for a friend ages ago for a Christmas party, and there probably wasn't much universalness about it at all. But I imagine in the future, you're gonna get one sort of device that could seriously run your whole setup at home, which would be super convenient, super cool, but and then again scary because people who would steal that universal remote or have that password or whatever, they could just stuff up your whole life, or your sleep life at least. The bottom line, I haven't looked too far into it, but looking into the 2043, the year that will be 18 years from now, I'm 34, what will I be, 40, 50, 53. That's a decent old age. I can see that we're trying to intertwine the Chat GPT, or the collection of knowledge and books and people's personalities, which you can now see on a screen, and you can capture in a screen in one spot, and that being Chat GPT. I believe that are trying to then get that and all the benefits of that, and now they'll probably put it into, if you can put it into one-on-one thing, the oneness, the lowest common denominator of getting into one smooth stream system is actually to get it into a person. So rather than having people having to access ChatGPT, if it's implanted in people, that will probably be well, that's like the sign of the chip or the end days in Christian belief, absolutely. But I think that's where we'll get a bit confused and messy and a bit like, well, really? Because I'm also juggling with this idea of, is it better for me as a person to scour and treasure hunt for all my knowledge, or is it better for me to just have it all there and then access it when I want it? I'm not sure which one's better, but you got to think about it and think about the things that you're doing now, that in terms of, if you're doing it in the old way, so if you're making coffee the old way, if you're doing anything in the old way, writing things by hand or whatever, writing a letter rather than sending an email, you just got to see the value in it and understand, why am I actually doing this? Why do I prefer the old way? And then I think if you can leverage that reason, then you're going to do pretty well in business for the next 18 years, because you'll understand people, you understand the actual reason and the connection between doing things, feeling like you're contributing to the product versus just having everything automated there for you. So I didn't give you a lot of answers there, but bottom line is the tech shapes us and we shape it as well. Yeah, don't just rely on the tech, but if you don't rely on the tech enough, you'll be replaced in terms of your business or your professional life. So yeah, help it out, go both ways. Thanks for joining me on Top of Breaks It Down. That was my first vid, so I appreciate it.